it's quite a history. I don't know where to start, because the Migration Secretariat of the WCC had its origin in the work that the WCC already was involved in from its foundation for the refugees. Refugees from all over the world, but mostly in Europe, as a result of the Second World War. Of course, an element in that was also anti-Semitism and the Nazi regime and the Shoah. But the World Council extended its services to all over the world, and then in the course of the 50s, after the Second World War, it became clear that migration, people on the move, were refugees, but not only refugees. Many people who were simply looking, or simply were looking for somewhere to work and to live outside their own country, because in their own country there was no work and there was no possibility to live at all. So people came to Europe because Europe was, the West was the rich part of the world. People moving, and that movement has not stopped. In fact, it has increased all the time, and it now takes proportions that I would consider as dramatic, because of the refusal in the West to accept new migrants. When I was called to Geneva, that was in 1958. I came to Geneva in 1958, and what I was asked to do was, coming out of the refugee service, discovering that there was a much larger movement, including what they were calling migrants. The question was for the churches to know what is their pastoral and other responsibility towards migrants all over the world. So I was asked to prepare a world conference on migration, and that conference took place in 1961 in Lausanne. I was asked to prepare this with a commission around me of people to support me in my work from many parts of the world. But there was a lot of misunderstanding, a lack of understanding of what migrants or refugees go through when they are forced to leave their home country and to find a new place where they are not accepted or difficult. They find many difficulties, especially if they're not alone, but with families, wife and children. I'll give you one example that I use often. One of the members of the commission to support me came from the UK. He was a member of the Anglican Church, and he spoke in high English society words. And he said after the first meeting of the commission, he said, "I don't really know what the problem is, because there's always an Anglican church around the corner." That helped me very much, because I reacted to that by saying, yes, but you know, you're an Anglican, you're privileged. But not everybody is Anglican, and many have no church. And some of them are perhaps Muslims or Buddhists or whatever. So That means that we're not talking here about a local situation, we're talking about a worldwide situation. But anyway, fortunately he was an exception, but it indicated to me the problem that many churches have, that they only look after their own people and have a difficulty in receiving newcomers from outside, because they don't know really. How can we help the churches to be open? And the whole problem for me was that the churches had to be opened. That is to say, a church with 4 walls, to take the church building as a starting point. Those 4 walls can be walls of, we are hiding behind our walls, and we are, we will look after our own people, but the door into the church is a small door, and how to get in. And then I turned around the question with many others to say the church has to come out of its 4 walls and get into the world and understand what is happening and become part of that world. Our mission is not to withdraw, but to go outside and to open ourselves and to show signs of love, of understanding, people of different cultures, of different religions. Churches are not only there to help people of their own flock, but churches are open to the world, have to be open to the world. And so the church in the world is a question that comes very deeply up in the migration study. And the main question that I'm time and time confronted with myself is the whole question of hospitality. Now, there is a major work done on that by a French philosopher, Jacques Derrida. What he says is a foreigner, refugee, migrant, I'll keep that as somebody from the outside who comes and whom you invite. Who is the one who receives and who is the one who is the outsider? In fact, hospitality in the end is, I'm inviting you to come. I will not ask you from where you come. I will not ask even for your name. If I use that for purposes of retracting from which area of the world you come, you are simply somebody whom I receive. And he will perhaps, he will explain who he is, where he comes from, but you do not immediately try to locate that person. Oh, he's a Jew. Oh, he's an Arab. Oh, he's a Christian, or he's not a Christian. That is not the point. The point, he is a human being, or she is a human being. And in the end, who receives whom? Real hospitality is when that person that I receive in fact receives me also. There is a coming and going. And there is not a discrimination. The title of the conference on migration that I was to prepare was In a Strange Country, in a Strange Land was the title, In a Strange Land. And the point is that if that means a strange land, that is, you have to cross borders, and you come in a different culture, who is to decide when you're a stranger or when you are another human person? And on the basis of what are you telling somebody that he has no right to enter the country? On the basis of race?